My name is Sarah Grimwood, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I'm calling this public meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the Commission table and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you are presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the Commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of any commissioners attending virtually and the current petitioner. Once the Commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the November 20th meeting. Please note that the meeting is being recorded. At this time, I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves.
Jim Smith,
Bill Cremeza.
Nick Pappas.
And Gary
Ben,
Kleiman.
thank you very much. So first on the agenda, as always, is public comment, which is limited to up to 10 minutes with no more than 2 minutes allocated to any one speaker. Public comment is limited to items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments? No? Okay. Next, we have commissioner comments. Any comments from the commission?
No, not for me.
No,
No? Okay, director's update, please, Julia.
So I wanted to give you an update on Millbrook Terry, the enforcement order that the commission issued last week. Jim White has had the invasives removal plan prepared. It was submitted at the end of last month. And that work is going to begin this month with a report provided in December. The filter mitts have been installed. And the landscape plantings began today. You saw them planting today, right?
Okay.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Okay.
And we'll also have a report on that provided next month.
Mhm.
So progress is being made. As we talked about at the last meeting, we don't anticipate that all of the plantings will be done this fall, just based on nursery
Availability
available. Yeah,
and
exactly.
time.
Yep.
Mhm.
There is an open house on the Superfund site in Acton, the W.R. Grace site. It's Tuesday, November 12th, Acton Town Hall. And the time is 6:30 to 8:30. And they will talk about the background and provide updates on where things stand with site history, as well as what is being worked on and proposed for the future. The historical, I think it's the Historical Commission, is doing a historical preservation plan update, and they will be meeting November 14th at the townhouse from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and they're inviting people to come and hear about where they are and to get public feedback on that preservation plan. And the last thing for me is that Warner's Pond Task Force, next meeting is November 13th at Harvey Wheeler, 6 p.m., also Zoom. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that subgroups are beginning to report out on the proposals. The dredging subgroup presented 3 dredging options last week. That is to use the fields west of the MCI parking lot for dewatering and disposal instead of the restricted fields across from Route 2. And they're looking at getting cost estimates for 3 dredging proposals. And that would be dredging to the original amount of 35,000 plus or minus yards to a depth of 12 feet instead of 9 feet. And then the other 2 proposals would also be dredging to that same depth, but would look to go to dredge 50,000 yards and 100,000 yards. And DOC has confirmed that the subsoil from that fields could be excavated, and 2229 Main Street, the project manager with DeMaximus, has indicated that since they want 85,000
Mhm.
yards of fill,
Hmm.
that subsoil could be used from that field to be used at Star Met as clean fill.
Right, and that they're willing to pay for the transportation of it,
They have said they're willing
Wow.
to pay for the transportation,
which is.
That's
significant.
great.
which is significant.
Mm.
So there are two additional proposals that, you excavate out 50,000 yards, truck it to
Yeah,
Star Met, and then take 50,000 yards of dredged material from the pond and put it in that field, and then do the same thing with 100,000 yards of
Mm.
dredging. So we've just put out a request for information today to get cost estimates on those three proposals. And it's going to be challenging to get those estimates because there are no plans.
yeah.
So they're preliminary, and we're just going to see,
Mhm.
hopefully we
I-
can get, some good information on that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A quick question on that. I think that sounds like a fantastic avenue of investigation. I wonder if EA, since they are on our contract right now, would they be able to look at the potential leachate from depositing that, nutrient-rich soil directly adjacent? What would be the rate of leaching of those nutrients back into the pond? Or are we pretty sure that they would be isolated once deposited directly adjacent to the pond? It might be a question for EA to sort of look at what is the groundwater leach rate.
So the groundwater in this field, which is not directly adjacent to the pond, it is on the other side of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. So it's bounded by the prison parking lot, the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, Route 2, and the Farm Access Road. There's actually no, DOC did some test pits, and they were just exploratory and just a few feet down. But no groundwater was encountered in those test pits. I mean, obviously, the deeper that the excavate goes, you're going to hit groundwater at some point. But as I understand it, the dredged material would be bound with some sort of material so that it would not
Mhm.
We just
migrate.
need to get some kind of confirmation or statement about that disposition. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Okay, so moving on, we have two continuances. Can I have a motion, please?
Sure, I make a motion that we continue to November 20th, 2024 without discussion, the notice of intent for the Nurse Snack Hill Association, 18A College Road, DEP file -137, and the rest of that has not yet been filled. Should I do the second one as well? Can I do two at
I
once?
guess, can we do two at once or just vote?
Yeah.
go on,
Sorry, what?
keep going.
And a second one to be continued to January 29th, 2025 without discussion, notice of intent for 154 Southfield Road, DEP file 137-1641.
Second.
Thank you. And the vote, Jim?
Aye.
Yes, Bill?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm an aye as well.
Good.
Okay. So, our first new application for this evening is a notice of intent for 691 to 693 Old Bedford Road, DP file 1371687.
Hi, I'm here online for that.
Hello, oh, hi, Karen.
Hello, how are you?
Okay,
All right, would you like me to go ahead?
yes, please do.
Okay, I can share the screen if someone can give me the capability unless you're looking at it otherwise.
Sorry, yeah, Julie's just doing it.
Yep. Thank you very
Should be all
much.
set. You're welcome.
Yep, thank
Sorry.
you. All right, so just for the record again, my name is Nathaniel. I'm with Stansky and McNary, and this is for the notice of intent for 691, 693 Old Bedford Road. So this is a site at the corner of Old Bedford Road and Blue Heron Way, which is a small dead-end private drive with a cul-de-sac at the end, just serves a couple houses off of Old Bedford Road. This is kind of at the Bedford side of Concord, as the name would suggest. So existing at the site, I'll try to zoom in a little bit so it's a little bit clearer. There is a building that is an existing two-family house So it's served by a driveway that comes in off of Old Bedford Road, and much of the lot, pretty much the entire lot, is just lawn with some mature trees. And then across the street on the opposite side of Old Bedford Road is where the wetland is. So we flagged the edge of the wetland here as it would project onto the site. So like I said, across the street of Old Bedford Road, other side of the guardrail, basically there's a little wetland. And it projects the 100-foot buffer zone onto kind of the southern portion of the site. Yep, southern. So this dash line I'm hovering my cursor on is the buffer zone. So inside the buffer zone, it's just lawn, some trees, kind of the driveway. The existing house is outside of it. So the purpose of this is to knock down this existing building and build a duplex. So it's maintaining the fact that this is a multifamily lot. So it's going to be a duplex instead. So just mentioning that for context, the entirety of the building is outside the buffer zone. And the new driveway is outside the buffer zone, and the existing driveway, which is gravel on the left side over here, is being taken out. So it's a kind of a reduction of a little bit of disturbance in the buffer zone. So really the big actual thing that's happening in the jurisdiction is construction of a portion of the leach field. So each unit, excuse me, is served by its own leach field. This one is obviously very far outside the jurisdiction. So this one on this unit here is the one that's actually within the 100-foot. So it's a portion of the leach field and the septic tank and the lines and any grading that's required to construct the septic. Concord maintains a 75-foot setback from a wetland to a leach field, which we're exceeding here. It's 84 feet away from the edge of the wetland. There are a couple, well, really one tree within the jurisdiction that we're calling out that needs to come out in order to accommodate the septic system. We are replacing that with 3 trees in the front, kind of where there's a little bit of room. The driveway is going out. They're not going to need the front for access. So 3 trees are going there to fill it in and compensate for the 1 tree that's being removed. Other than that, there's a slope area around the extent of the property to protect from erosion, regardless of the fact that the road is in between the project site and the wetland anyway. So that's also kind of an added level of separation from the work to the wetland. So those are really the main points. Obviously, the basics of, you know, it is existing lawn. It'll be lawn afterwards, except for where the trees are going. But those are really the major points. I don't have too much more to expand on this, so I'll hand it back to the chair and I'll be able to take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. And my understanding is that the tree you're taking out is actually an invasive Norway maple, so there's definitely an improvement there with that coming down and 3 native trees going in. So it's great. Never know where to put them. So, okay, any comments from the
Just to be
commissioners?
clear for me, the only access then, Nathaniel, will be from Blue Heron Road? You're taking out the other, there was another access on Old Bedford Road before, right?
Yes, yep. So the actual, so it's funny enough, from Old Bedford Road, we didn't pick up on the survey, but this kind of gravel drive and the flat area kind of does go all the way down to Blue Heron Way. The building commissioner had kind of let us know that this building will be assigned a brand new address on Blue Heron Road. So
Okay.
all the access and utilities are going to come off Blue Heron.
Okay, great.
Okay, any other comments?
Nope.
Are there any public comments on this application? No. Okay, so given that this is going to be an improvement over existing conditions, I hear no concerns. So we can move on, have an order of conditions.
Yes.
We did get a file number.
Yes.
Yeah. And,
Who had?
Just
Who
1687.
has this one? This is,
Nathaniel, do you have the file number handy?
Yeah, I can get it 1 second. Yep.
That's not here.
1687.
Okay,
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
move that we close
Okay.
the public hearing and issue an order of conditions for 691 to 693 Old Bedford Road, DEP file number 137-1687, with finding A special, standard conditions 1 through 20 and special conditions 21 through 53.
I second that.
thank you very much. And the votes, Jim?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Two.
Okay, so next up, we have, request for determination of applicability at 68 Commonwealth Avenue and 300 Baker Avenue, RDA file 2417.
Who's
Hi,
that?
Alexa
Mhm.
Marti and Sam Campbell here from GPI.
Good evening.
Is it possible for me to share my screen?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Right. So again, my name is Alexa Marquis. I'm the Assistant Environmental Scientist for GPI. And we're here representing a request for determination of applicability for exploratory borings for the proposed Aspet River pedestrian trail bridge. So Greenman Peterson Inc. is representing the town of Concord. The project location is along the Aspet River at 68 Commonwealth Avenue and 300 Baker Avenue. And the purpose of the project is to conduct 7 additional borings along the alignment of the proposed trail bridge. So due to changes in the proposed alignment of the bridge, the proposed borings are necessary to provide soil horizon and bedrock composition information, and that will further inform the design of the bridge abutments and the approach embankments. So back in August of 2021, there was an RDA filed and authorized for borings for this area. It was performed using track-mounted all-terrain vehicle, and this project is proposing to do the same. However, we may be able to look into seismic refraction survey methods, and it's a little bit less invasive than what you would get with the traditional ATV. Along with this, no erosion controls or tree protections are anticipated. And due to the change in the bridge design, it may happen that we will need to use timber matting in order to facilitate access where it's necessary. So these are just some pictures of the access route that was used back in 2022 and 2023 under the RDA that was authorized in 21. And I'm just going to switch over to a plan set real quick, just so we can get a little bit of a better idea. Well, that's the agenda. So this is the plan set. Whoops. The dark gray was the access routes that were used in the previous RDA. We won't be deviating from them too much in order to get up to these other borings. And so it's going to be relatively, as we're going to try to keep it as uninvasive as possible. And if we can utilize the seismic refraction, we will. So the work that's going to be taking place within the wetland resource areas, under the Wetlands Protection Act, we do have work happening within the bordering vegetated wetlands, land under water bodies and waterways, and the 200 riverfront area. And for the Concord wetland bylaws, we will be within the no disturb zone and the limited disturbance zone. So these 2 boring locations are found on the, let's see, the eastern side of Assabet River. So they will be within the 200-foot riverfront area outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. These 2 are located within land underwater, and it is also on the eastern bank of the Aspet River as well. In this area, we may need to use the timber mats, but if we're able to use the seismic refraction, we could eliminate that impact. This boring location is on the western bank, and it is located within bordering vegetated wetlands here. This is the access route that was used in the previous RDA filing in order to get to where we needed to be for the previous borings. And these final 2 are also located on the western bank. And then again, you can see, here's the trail here that was used. And they are located outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone, but they are located within the 75 no disturbance zone. It is possible that the proposed borings sorry, the proposed borings do not anticipate the alteration of areas subject to protection under the act, and they may be considered exempt per 310 CMR 1002 2B2 as minor activities that are temporary in nature, have negligible impacts, and are necessary for planning and design purposes. That
Thank you,
being,
that's all clear. Thank you.
Yep.
Any comments or questions from the commissioners?
No.
No?
Quick
Mm,
question, just
Yeah.
what is the purpose for the additional borings? Is it because the route has changed due to the new proposal at 300 Baker Avenue, or these were going to be necessary anyway?
so the design has shifted slightly, so in order to get the appropriate soil horizons and bedrock analysis that we need for where the abutments are going to be placed, that's why we're having this new set of borings. So the design, the bridge design itself has changed slightly.
Just wondering what was the reason for the bridge design change? Was it a change of location or just the design of the bridge itself?
Sam, I don't know if you have any more information.
Yeah, I can chime in. So, Mr. Climate, I think part of the issue was that when they first conducted the initial round of borings, there were at least 1 or 2 locations that they weren't able to access. So this is to facilitate access to those locations, as well as a minor shift in some of the approach embankments. So the bridge itself is really, essentially for, all intents and purposes, the way we would look at it, it's in the same location. There's just been some minor shifts in the work that's going to be needed to ramp up to the elevations needed to cross the river. And that's what's driving this, because the MassDOT Bridge Manual has some pretty, strict guidance on what information needs to be provided to advance the design of the subsurface elements like the piers and abutments.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Are there any public comments on this application? No? Okay, well, I believe we're ready to issue a negative determination of applicability.
Sure, I'll move that we issue a negative determination for the. Excuse me. For the project at 300 Baker Avenue, application 24-17. Of the a negative determination of applicability number 2 with the following conditions. 1, a pre-construction conference will be held with the DNR staff prior to commencement of the work. 2, all work shall be conducted in the dry. 3, swamp mats may be used as needed. 4, all disturbed areas shall be seeded with a native seed mix. Description of native seed mix to be used shall be provided to the division staff at or prior to the pre-construction meeting. And 5, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work have been conducted in accordance with this determination of applicability. Any change from the RDA shall be described.
Second,
Very much. And the vote, please, Jim?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Nick?
aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for your time.
Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
And we have another notice of intent at Bulls Hill Road, 40 Bulls Hill Road, BP file 1371684.
Can you skip one?
Yeah, Lee Drive.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay. Okay, notice of intent, 127 Lee Drive, DP file 1371685. Who do we have representing this one? Good evening. Hi, thanks for coming.
Should I say here?
Sure, that's
Yes,
great.
please do.
Hi, I'm Kyle with Oxbow Associates. I believe the applicants, John Story and Leah from our office is attending remotely. If they can be included, just in case if they have anything to say. So the project, just to give some context, is on Lee Drive, which is a cul-de-sac off of Barrett's Mill Road over by the Rotary. The proposed work is the removal of a pool and a stone patio that surrounds that pool. And then outside the buffer zones on site, there's also proposed, they're expanding a paved basement entryway and adding a the retaining wall. The stockpile area is located outside of all buffer zones on site, adjacent to where the pad extension and retaining wall is being proposed. Bascot River is on site to the south. The associated buffer zones are in the blue hash marks for that. The 100-foot goes up to about the existing garage and near the existing, a portion of the existing swimming pool, and the entirety of the existing swimming pool is within the 200-foot. BVW on site is located east on the site plan. Relatively small wetland, and all work is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. With the removal of the swimming pool, it's proposed to be demolished and then filled with sand, clean sandstone, and topped with loam and seeded with grass seed. Erosion controls will be installed where there's no stone wall. There's a pretty significant stone wall that will be used as erosion control that surrounds the existing swimming pool. It's about 6 inches in height. And then more towards the north, we're extending that erosion control with 6-inch straw wattles. Any questions?
Seems like an improvement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
substantial.
No more questions, concerns? No? Any
None.
public comments? Okay, so I believe we're ready to issue an order of conditions and close the hearing. Who has this one?
Yeah, I'll take it. I move that we close the hearing and issue an order of conditions with respect to the project located at 127 Lee Drive, DEP file 137-1685. With the finding that in addition to standard conditions 1 to 20, following or special conditions following special conditions are necessary in accordance with the performance standards set forth regulations, protect the interest described above, and that's conditions 21 through 51 in this handout.
Thank you very much.
Anything else I needed?
No, that's
Good,
great.
very well done. That's right. I second it.
Thank you, Bill. And the vote, Jim.
Aye.
Thank you, Bill.
Aye.
Nick
Aye.
and Darren.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm an aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay, now moving on to 40 Balls Hill Road, DC file 1371684. Who do we have for this one?
Good evening, Bruce Ringwald for GPR.
Good evening, Bruce.
Good evening.
Do you think that background is gonna prejudice us, Bruce?
You know, I've had so many meetings relative to the Minuteman Trail that I just wind up keeping it up there. So, if I can share my screen, or if Delia wants to
Yes.
put up the plan, however you want to deal with it.
You can share.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the property is located at 40 Balls Hill Road, which is located just to the south of Monument Ave. This property is just shy of 2.5 or just over 2.5 acres. The property had a septic system installed in this location way down here in the corner, which shows right next to the wetlands, which in 1993 was not flagged as wetlands. The new owners of the house are upgrading and changing spaces within the house. And with the Board of Health's ruling on room counts, they wanted to make sure they had a septic system big enough to add additional rooms in the barn area of the building as time went on, as well as the rooms that they're upgrading within the house right now. So we've had to upgrade the septic system. And when we delineated the wetlands and said, holy cow, the wetlands are about 8 feet off of the existing septic system, we said, well, I guess we're testing up closer to the house. So we have done testing with the Board of Health and we've designed a system, a Prezi system, keeping all of the leaching system outside the 100-foot buffer zone, and just a little bit of fill in this tiny space right here required to be within the 100-foot buffer. This is all manicured lawn inside of this upper fence and kind of paddock meadow grasses in the lower fence to the rear southern portion of the property. We'd be proposing to put the lawn back over the top of the septic system once the system is installed and graded out. We think this is a substantial improvement to both the septic environmental health of the property, as well as discontinuing any effluent going down adjacent to the wetlands. That's it in the summary.
Thank you, Bruce. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Improvement.
I understand we're waiting for an authorization. Did that come through?
That did come in.
Great, fantastic. Are there any public comments on this application? No? Okay, so we're ready to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions.
All right, I move that we close the hearing and issue the following order conditions for 40 Balls Hill Road. DEP file number 137-1684 with finding A and standard conditions 1 through 20 and special conditions 21 through 51.
Second?
Thank you very much. And the vote, Jim,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, we have a few certificates of compliance.
We almost had the way that here is just.
I thought about that. I was really tempted.
So the first one, the Mass DOT, that was the sidewalk project, on Elm Street. And we've been waiting on some stamped as-built plans and they submitted those, but that project's completed. They're all good.
Good.
11 Williams Road, a partial was issued for the demo and reconstruction of the house. There were some outstanding items with the pheno markers and some debris, construction debris that has been addressed and that is ready for a full certificate of compliance. And then 353 Elm Street was essentially landscaping improvements and the site looks good, stable and ready to go.
And the last
Thank
one?
you. And the last one, Water Street.
Yeah, that's on the agenda?
Yeah.
Right, so 43 Water Street, there were two certificates of, two orders of conditions issued. For some reason, there was a duplicate. Karen, you probably remember when this was a fairly old one. And yeah, it was in the
Oh.
90s. And both orders were recorded at different times, and so there were two liens against the property. One was released and I guess the property is being sold. Is that right, Karen? Property is being sold, and so, the attorneys found that there was a second outstanding, lien on the property, and so this is just to close out something that had been, basically recorded twice.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'll move. I move that we issue certificates of compliance for Mass DOT Route 119 2A Elm Street, DEP file 137-1627. Also for Gilmore, 11 Williams Road, DEP file number 137-1582. Fritz and Chandler, 353 Elm Street, DEP file number 137-1473. And Kine and Simon, 43 Water Street, DEP file number 137-796.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. And the vote, Jim,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Thank you.
Matters.
And we have one administrative approval, right?
Yeah, so the 41 Sunnyside Lane, the homeowners there have it's a white oak they're concerned about, that's leaning over the house quite a bit. Apparently they've had some limbs fall down and hit the house already. So I thought it was reasonable for removal of that, and there's quite a bit of mitigation plantings on that site already.
Nice.
And it's really close to the neighboring house, I think 31, so I think it's reasonable to expect that the root system got banged up during the construction of that house, because how close it is, so. It seemed like a reasonable removal to me. They're gonna leave the trunk in place.
Oh, nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Great.
we don't need to vote on that, do we?
No.
Okay, I adjourn this meeting.